We'll do it later. Oh, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't this fun? See all these kids up here? I do have to make a small apology, and I want to do it right away. I neglected to put in the two teachers' names who are teaching strings at Burley Glenwood. And this is really important because those young kids are eventually going to be up in my high school orchestra. And those two people are Sarah Koenig, and I think I saw her here. Is she out in the audience here somewhere? There she is right there. If everybody could give her a round of applause. Thank you, Sarah. If you can teach it, you can play it. We have Bree Myers. I know Bree's here. Where's Bree? She's way back there. She's also teaching at Burley Glenwood, and she is a ninth grader. So thank you, Bree. Why don't we give her a round of applause? And again, thank you for being here this evening in this wonderfully rainy Northwest holiday evening, but it is Northwest, so we are kind of used to it. As Bill Cosby said long ago, instead of getting suntans here, we get wrinkles. So whoever has the most wrinkles really is cool. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know that this is a wonderful season, and it is a wonderful season for music, especially string music. And I would be remiss if I did not, and I said this on my director's notes on the back of the program, if I did not acknowledge Dr. Michelle Reed. When she became superintendent of this district, she gave me a charge, and that was to build a world-class string program. This has been a vision of Miss Dawn Woodstocks and Mrs. Laura Cornelis and Mr. Michael Paul Kuntz for a number of years. And with her charge, as it were, we have moved in 2 years to a point now where we have only half of the elementary school students up here on stage because we can't fit them all up here. This is the second year of the high school orchestra. We have probably tripled the size of the junior high school, which will eventually be middle school orchestras. Thank you to Dr. Reed and to you parents, because I know when students first start on stringed instruments, it's really hard to be at home when the cats are screeching and the dogs are howling and they're making some weird noises on these instruments. But I think what you're going to get tonight is to see a progression. And this progression is going to show you how students move through this process. I don't want to offend anybody in here, but I'm just going to tell you the truth. We know that if a student starts on a stringed instrument when they are around 6 years old, they are going to develop spatial temporal reasoning skills that are far beyond what the average person will do. If we were to start teaching them how to play chess at that age, if we were to start teaching them how to speak a foreign language at that age, to have 2 languages, it is unbelievable the crossover between these skills and techniques and academic prowess. So what these students are up here going to demonstrate is the ability not just to play music, but also to do things like geometry, things like astrophysics, being able to understand that energy equals mass times the speed of light squared and what the implications are of that. It's pretty a tall order. These students are going to be able to do that. So why don't you sit back, and we're going to start right away at the beginning here. And sorry, my name's Bob Cooper. I get to direct the high school orchestra. In fact, it's not just get. I have the privilege of directing the high school orchestra. So we're going to start with the elementary school orchestra, and I believe Miss Dawn Woodstock's going to be back there playing the piano. not seeing a conductor come up for the junior highs yet. I was kind of worried there. I was going, wait a minute, I haven't rehearsed this music here. Well, this year we have the privilege of having Miss Grace Bergman come over to us from Central Washington University and to help teach. So, Miss Bergman, thank you for being here. So we're going to move on to our junior high school players. These are our 7th, 8th, and 9th grade students. Check, check. I know that seems a little weird, but this is a tradition that goes back a long way. And what we're trying to do is to be able to prepare students for if and when, and we hope they do, whether they are in music or not, they continue to play in orchestra. And what you saw there is kind of a process that you go through when you tune. The instruments are already tuned. With electronic tuners, we very rarely have to tune instruments. But it's the process to make sure we're also hearing the sound in there, and then the whole thing about the order of what happens with conductors in a large setting here. So thank you, Sydney Young is our concertmaster for this evening, and does a wonderful job of helping the whole orchestra kind of get together. We're going to start with a piece that was written by Peter Ehrlich Tchaikovsky. This is a piece that the orchestra decided to play instead of another piece that I wanted to play. I wanted to play Jingle Bell Rock, and they wanted to play a traditional classical piece. Go figure that. But actually, it's a wonderful little piece. It's the opening. It's the March from the Nutcracker. By the way, when Tchaikovsky wrote this in mid to late 1800s, he thought this was to use a modern-day colloquialism, Twinkie piece. He was never really a fan of his own ballet, and isn't that interesting that a composer doesn't like a certain piece, and yet it's the piece that we all know. So the March from the Nutcracker. This time of year is such a wonderful time for special music. And this next piece, if you've been a string musician, you've probably done it over and over and over again, especially if you wanted to make money during college and you did weddings, because it's always done. But this arrangement that I found is actually an arrangement of the Pachelbel canon. By the way, the dates in the program are wrong. Those are the dates for Tchaikovsky. Pachelbel was not around in the 1800s. Actually, there was a wonderful album that came out a number of years ago that was called Greatest Hits of 1776, kind of a Casey case of back then in the 1700s. And this was one of the pieces that was on it. It's the Pachelbel canon in D. And you'll notice that it's an ostinato pattern, which means that a set of notes keeps repeating over and over again. But over the top of that, we have an accompanying orchestra, and we have 3 solo violins. Sydney Young, Matt Collins, and Noah Flores. So the Canon D by Pachelbel. play the instrument, all I do is get up here and just wave my arms around, and I'm tired. I'm tired from watching them. Wasn't that a wonderful piece of music? Isn't that beautiful? That just kind of makes the holiday season. Well, before our last piece, which is not quite holiday, you can kind of consider that to be a holiday piece. I'd like to refer to the middle of your program. There is a quick reference form about the bond that the high school district, South Kitsap School District, is going to be running in February. This is for a second high school, and it has all the facts in it. As you came in to stage right, remember you're directors now, so it'd be to your left. Over there's a table outside. We have some postcards. I think I forgot to put out some buttons, so right afterwards I'm going to scoot out there and put some buttons out if you're interested. On those postcards, there's also a place for name and address and email address, and we would greatly appreciate any of your help. If you have questions or something, feel free to turn those postcards in. You can turn them in to me, or just go ahead and leave them on the table, and I'll make sure they get to the correct people. Well, this final piece that we're going to do here is got to be one of the most profound pieces that has ever been written. And this piece was actually written when the composer was totally deaf. He never heard it. In fact, in the opening premiere of his Symphony No. 9, Beethoven, because he had a personality that was over the top, I think, said, "No, I'm conducting it," even though he couldn't hear. And when the piece came to its climactic ending, his Ninth Symphony, he was still conducting because he got lost. The concertmaster had to get up and to turn him around to a standing ovation. Since that day, I think it was around 1827, somewhere in there, 1822, that he wrote this piece. It has been a monumental piece because he did something that no other composer had done before that, and that is to put a choir, a full chorus with soloists, in a symphonic work that is just for the concert setting. And what is more important, as I have studied this work, is that he really follows Occam's razor. And Occam's razor is kind of that philosophical prose that never complicates something beyond its most simplest components. He took a very simple melody, very, very simple, and turned it into an unbelievable work. In fact, I would lay odds that if I were to go out onto the street corner and ask somebody, and if I were to hum that melody, they could say, "Oh yeah, I've heard that before. Oh yeah, I know what that is. Isn't it Beethoven who wrote that?" So what we've done is we're going to put the full force together here. This is the first time this has ever happened. We have not played through this piece all together at the same time, but I know it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful conclusion to our program tonight. Ludwig van Beethoven's Ode to Joy. Oh, by the way, and it's based on a poem by Goethe. I had to get that in there, Mr. Prince. Okay, you ready? Really? Are you sure you're not smiling? Here we go. Come on, have fun with this. school. Let's get our jingle bell rock. We're going to play jingle bell rock. Okay. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go back to the band room. Okay, make sense? Okay. So let me sing my words. They're going to start playing a tune, and you guys can come up with stuff. Be careful with yours. Okay? Thank you. Have to turn it on. Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. We're going to make sure that you get your child, and please come and get your child. I don't want to have to go home with a whole bunch of them. I love them dearly, but okay, I've got two at home of my own. So where they're going to meet you, they're going to go back into the band room, and if you wouldn't mind meeting your child out in the commons, which is right outside this door, I think it'll make things easier. It's a little tight there in the band room getting in, and we've had students kind of get squished every once in a while. So if you can meet them out there, they will come out and meet you. And we're going to kind of do some incidental music here because it's, I want to do it, Jingle Bell Rock. Thank you. Happy holidays. Okay. Only for big high. Excellent.